Hey everybody, Neri Transformed here again, and today I have the Age of Extinction Voyager Drift figure. This is a strange one. This mold is originally the Skyhammer mold from Dark of the Moon, who was not a character in the movie, I think. It was just a mold they made up, and it was a really cool mold. Almost everybody who had that mold really liked it. So it was really cool that they brought that back for Age of Extinction, especially for Drift, who was known for being both a car and a helicopter in the Age of Extinction movie. From what I understand, there's only two differences between this and as far as molding. This is technically a remold, but only a couple changes. One, the head is different, of course, to match Drift, and two, the cones up here are apparently remolded slightly differently from Skyhammer's. Everything else on here is exactly the same as Skyhammer, with just different colors. There is a difference in these accessories as well, but as far as the actual helicopter mode goes, it's almost exactly the same as the Skyhammer mold, just with different colors and a slight change to the cones at the front. From what I understand, this is a helicopter that's completely made up. It's based on two different helicopters from what TF Wiki says, but it's not an actual real this particular look is not a real helicopter. But it looks really cool. I mean, it looks like a really nice little combat copter, you know. Got the cockpit at the front. Actually, it's very nicely molded in clear plastic where it looks realistic. The colors, yeah, are a bit strange, but if you don't like the colors, just get the Dark of the Moon Skyhammer version, which is a lot more of a realistic military colors, I think. Or at least closer to realistic. Oh, when the blades pop down. You can see an Autobot symbol tempoed on both sides. Or, nope, just on this side. Just on this side. Got the landing gear. You can see some of the robot bits on the bottom. Got his little, I guess these would be called wings. I don't know helicopter terminology, we call them wings. The blades of the helicopter spin, of course. Very nicely, I might add. I also like how nicely molded the copter is itself, and you actually see the wiring of the blades going through. Very nice. And tail fin, yeah, that's the tail fin. You can see his robot feet there, kind of disguised as vents. The coloring on this is very weird, but I think it works. I do appreciate they used the Skyhammer. From what I understand, they actually used Skyhammer's helicopter for Drift's helicopter mode in the movie, even though he didn't appear in it very much. I'm kind of surprised they didn't reuse, say, like Generation's Springer, since he transforms into both a car and a helicopter. That would have been interesting, but, you know, we take what we can get. He does have accessories. He has these blue cannons, or missile launchers, or whatever you want to call them. They are using the 5mm peg system, so just plug them in wherever you can. The main pegging points for them would be right there. But there are also two peg points under the wings. This one's much smaller in the middle, but the two here work just fine for them. So you can put them on the outer edge of the wing, or you can have them on the inner part of the wing instead. There we go, give them some asymmetry. That's probably bugging a lot of people right now. Personally, I prefer them pegged up here, but I think on an actual combat copter, they would probably actually put them here. If I can get pegged in. I think that's where missiles would actually go. And this is where another difference he has from the Skyhammer mold. Skyhammer kind of came with this big gun that you could peg into the bottom right there. But Drift comes with his swords, which look a lot better than his deluxe version swords. There's a reason I didn't get the deluxe, because this one looks a lot better. Ironically, though, he's a remold. He does look a lot better. Strangely is how they are painted, though. They're blue plastic with gold painted on the sides of the blades to kind of get that solid, energized look. But you'll notice one side is really faded with the gold at the bottom, while the other side is not. And they are the exact same mold, just reversed. Or not even reversed, they are the exact same mold, they just clipped together. But you can see one side slightly faded, the other side heavily faded. And it goes reverse over here. This time, this one's... Or, you know, just have one side on both of them heavily faded, this side not so as faded. So it's kind of weird. There are a couple different points you can peg the swords onto him. There is this point up here where you can use this little tab sticking out and peg it down into his wing. Now, you can't really use the swords from here, but you can peg them in if you want. And it's not this peg point here, it's the one that's kind of sticking up like here. Although it does not always work well, and it can be kind of hard to get the tab to go in. Yeah. There we go. Not easy, but it works. You can have them just somewhere to store swords. I would personally put the handles forward, but that's just me. Personally, when I store them on him, I prefer to store them on the underside of the wing, where that really tiny peg hole is. That fits the tab just right. So you can have them tabbed into the bottom. Although they do fall easily, but it works. Yeah, you can have them just displayed like that. Personally, if I do display in vehicle mode, I don't put on the swords at all, but if I do have them on there, I put them on the bottom. I think you can also tab them to the outer part here, which could work. You give him a bladed weapon on his wing if you wanted to. Anyway, let's go and remove all the weapons. He has a rather complex transformation. Oh yeah, if you want to fold the landing gear away, this folds up, and these do also fold up, even though they don't look like they should. But yeah, you can have them laying flat, or kind of flat. Tail's kind of heavy. Alright, let's go into the actual transformation. Come to the back. You're going to want to just... these two parts... This tail is pegged in the two peg holes there that will make up the... And this piece back here will make up the chest. Come to the other side, and you can see there's a peg and peg hole here as well. And doing that loosens all this up so it can kind of accordion out by folding it down and folding this out. Which basically just looks like the helicopter got wrecked. And the tail will split. The central fin will stick to one to the side. Here's another interesting part. Once again, it's kind of an accordion thing where it kind of extends his tail a bit. It comes down this hinge, but then it has another hinge undo it. And if we want to see the difference there, you can see it right there. From the back. Basically, it's just kind of accordioning outward a bit. I'll try to show you again. See, come down this hinge, and then this lower hinge will fold forward. Then you're going to take the helicopter and turn to the sides of the tail to the front. Go ahead and take that central piece and just flip it in. Next, you're going to come down here. There's going to be double hinges. You're going to bring them on back, and as you do, you'll actually see the heel of the foot starting to stick out. And I'll just peg in. And as you do that, the vents on the that were on the side of the helicopter tail will actually push outward. Then you're going to fold the side tail fins to the side, flip out the heel, and flip the foot into place. You're going to do the same over here, double hinge. Work the double hinge around, bring it in, peg it in, flip it up. Vents pushed out, feet fold down, heel pushed out and folds down. And that's his feet. I'm going to leave the landing gear down for now just to give me a bit more room while working up here. Come to the top, fold the wings down. That'll unclip them from the side doolollies. And then they come down the hinge here. And they come down the hinge there. There's a lot of hinges. This is a movie toy. And then the side doololly things actually unpeg. You can see there's a peg there and a peg hole there. And when you do that, and once you get the wings out of the way, it'll give you enough room to go ahead and pull these back on a hinge hinge that's up here. And then you can finally split the front of the helicopter. The little drill bits flip forward to give more room. You can actually start seeing Drift's head in there. And then they'll split further under here. And then there's hinges right there. That's where the shoulders will start forming. Bring the helicopter heads down, they'll become the shoulders. Flip these bits around to where you got the elbow to the front. Inside the little side things where you'd plug the missile packs onto before, you can flip the hands out, and then these will accordion shut on these double hinges. Flip that, and then you flip it in, and it'll collapse in together. I'll show you again. Basically, you're going to flip the hand out, and then where the hand was, the hinges will fold into to give them a solid arm. Flip it out, flip it in. Now here's where we get some of the cool parts of the transformation. First off, come to the top, and where this part that was the overhead originally, kind of just go flip them down to kind of give more solid shoulders. The whole piece here will turn, and now you can actually see Drift's head. And then this piece will actually push down, peg in, but only in a certain way. You can see right there you have a tab and on this side you do not. Two sides will have a tab. You want the tabs facing upward and downward, and they'll push in. Then, this kind of reminds me of a Power Ranger transformation, I believe. There's one Power Ranger who has like a giant helicopter star. You're going to take the wings, bring them down the bronze or tan's hinges, however you want to call them, and they will actually peg into drifts back here. It's really hard to show you just because of how much is going on, but there is actually a peg holding these in place now. You can kind of see it right there. Bring the bronze parts down, then bring the blue parts of the wings back up to peg into the central part, and now lock all that together. And once the blades are pushed in, each blade will fold back and peg into one of the slots in the wings. One of the slots where you could put the swords earlier. You can see right there, it'll peg right into the tip of the wing. Over here, fold down, and there's a tab going right into the tip of the wing, and over here, tab going right into a part of the wing. So his blades lock everything. That helps kind of lock his backpack in place and lock the blades in place for his chest. And there you have your Voyager Drift, or Skyhammer has the same transformation, just different head, and of course different colors. But yeah, that's the Voyager Drift in his robot mode. Okay, I was stupid and forgot to do comparisons in vehicle mode, but here he is next to the Age of Extinction Voyager Slog. So, yep, they're both Voyagers, so they're about the same height. Yeah. Let's put him back in here. Here he is next to Combiner Wars Legends Skywarp. And here he is next to the Combiner Wars Bruticus. And he comes up to about the upper leg of Bruticus. Which is typical of Combiners. Very tall. And let's get Skywarp out of there. So, for how twisty and accordion, like just how many hinges he has, he does have a very solid robot mode. Granted, he kind of has the typical movie thing of just like a bunch of shrapnel kind of coming off of him, but not quite as bad as some other movie figures. Not quite as bad as some of the Revenge of the Fallen figures we've seen. And this was a Dark in the Mood mold, so it's kind of got that aesthetic still going, but still works for Drift. I don't know if the robot mode is screen accurate, but it looks good with Drift. Again, he has the 5mm peg holes. You can just peg the rocket packs there if you want. Or on the back of his shoulders, there are actually peg holes that you can peg them into. Or it might work better to have a little piece sticking off to the side. You can peg them into his shoulders, kind of having them just pointing up. So they could be boosters, or you could have him move his shoulder forward to shoot. However you want to do that. I kind of like how they look there. And as for the swords, I don't know if there's any real way to store them in this mode. I mean, he does kind of have this little piece hanging off the back of his arm. Maybe, nah, it's a little too loose. No, nowhere way. I don't think there's any real way to store his swords in his robot mode, because all the peg holes are filled up by the blades now, and the ones that were in under the wing are now covered up. So the swords you kind of just got either put in his hands or put to the side. They are dual sword, so how you slip them in is because you kind of hook them into his hand, and then just kind of work them in like that, and then just turn them as needed. So you can give him both swords, and he looks fine with them. Alright, come on, take your sword. Don't you want to go beat up Galvatron? So there you go, and it looks pretty good in his hand, especially with a Voyager class, and the swords are very nice. Or, they do have a gimmick since they have these kind of clips on them that they can become a big broadsword by combining. You're going to take the flat sides of both swords, peg them together. At the top here, there's two clips that go together here, and there's a peg down here near the handles. Get the clips together, peg it in. It's not a solid thing. Like, I have had the swords fall apart on their own just by, like this. Gravity will sometimes knock them loose. But it is enough that you can give... Since Drift is a big Voyager, it is kind of nice to have him give a big old broadsword. And we've seen Transformers with swords before, and even with katanas, but seeing one with a broadsword is just kind of cool. I just wish that they had the handles more towards the middle, to where when you peg them together, you could actually use the handle to keep the swords together, instead of having this like ring handle. But it still works, it still looks fine, and yeah, it does look rather threatening in Drift's hand. It does look like he's ready to start slaying some beasts. Like Slog over there. Just ready to kind of slice into him. So yeah, that is a cool little trick you can do with his swords. We're going to put them aside for now, though. There's also a couple different ways you can do his shoulders. You can kind of, because how there's a bunch of hinges inside, you can get them kind of more angular if you wish. Which is how I sometimes like to display him. And I think it does look more like his shoulder blades rather than just helicopter bits hanging off. His legs also get kind of twisty. There we go. Because they got a lot of swivels in them. But yeah, he looks really cool. He's got most of the, a lot of the details are just the helicopter kind of split open. But you can see like there's some like hydraulic details inside the legs there. You do got like the kind of armored samurai stuff kind of going here. As well as on the chest, and of course the head is very much samurai-esque. And it's on a ball joint, so you can kind of just pop it off if you so wish. And we can get a good look at the head, actually. Which I think is very nice. It is very accurate to the movie. It's probably the nicest drift head skull, Age of Extinction drift head skull we got. But it is kind of weird because at first I thought it looked like because of how it's sculpted upward, kind of makes it look like he has a really wide, really weird grin. But he actually has his mouth very straight. It's just the kind of detailing that he has. But it's got gold. It's got the nice blue paint going around the back for the helmet. Or going to the sides. It didn't go all the way around the back. But it is a very samurai-esque helmet. Although it is kind of semi-stereotypical samurai. Oh yeah, you can also flip the landing gear up if you want. But that does inhibit his leg articulation. So I prefer to kind of just keep it down. So yeah, it does look a little weird having his landing gear just sticking off, but it works. He's got all this stuff sticking off anyway, so... Oh, yep, rocket packs might undo the blades on the back, so... if they kind of clash with the shoulders. So that happens occasionally, but it's not bad. The only kind of thing that's weird is his hand kind of comes out at an angle, but I don't mind it too much. Articulation-wise, he does have a ball joint at the head. So, you have him looking left and right and kind of going all over, but it does kind of make it look like his neck's moving with his head, so it is a little weird. You do get a swivel at the shoulder, a hinge going up and down, another hinge, so you got two hinges in the shoulder to work with. Swivel, 90-degree elbow, and the swivel is above the elbow, so you can kind of have him looking like he's going to, woo, pew. And his hand is on a hinge, but again, it's the typical hand where it really doesn't help much. Waist does swivel all the way around. He does have two swivels at the leg to give him full movement. Forward, all the way back. Pretty far outward as long as the landing gear is out of the way. You do get a knee. You got a swivel below the knee, which is kind of strange, but it is part of how he transforms. So no swivel above the knee, unfortunately, but you still get a swivel below where you can kind of give his feet like a more wide stance if you so wish. Or kind of make it look like he broke his leg. My leg! My leg! So you can do that if you wish. Bit strange, but not bad. And of course his toes can move. Not any ankle articulation, but you can kind of adjust his toes and his heels if you need to. You could get his foot a bit more back, like that. I'm not sure what that counts as, but you could technically count that as articulation if you need to. But yeah, I'd say that's decent articulation. I think he's a cool figure. I do want to get the Skyhammer mold because I think this figure will look a lot better in those colors. Because yeah, the bright blue and bronze of Drift is not doing it much favor. Not that it looks bad, but it's clearly Drift. It really doesn't work for anything other than Drift. But yeah, I think he's a lot better in a deluxe mold. I think he's probably one of the best Drift we're going to get from Age of Extinction. And I honestly really like him. I don't think he's the best figure, but I think he's probably one of the better Voyagers from Age of Extinction. The only other Voyagers I have are Slog and Grimlock, and yeah, they're not the best. The Voyager Dinobots have a lot of trouble. But Drift here I think is a nice little figure. If you want to get Drift that's a helicopter or maybe you just didn't like how the deluxe mold was due to some of its problems, I think this is the Drift you should get. Plus I like his size, I like the helicopter mode. It is a very good And transformation's a lot of fun, even though it is a little overly complex, but the end result does make a really cool looking figure, and he holds together very solidly. Despite all of his little pieces and movements, he does come together very solidly, and the only thing that really has to be tabbed in are the blades. Everything else kind of just stays together. So, I think he's a cool mold. I think you should get him, and yeah. So, I'm Mary Transformed. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you take care.